Dr. Carl Yonker, welcome to Jerusalem Dateline. Now, Tel Aviv University has just come out with a new report on the status of anti-Semitism. Can you tell us what some of the highlights are of that report, maybe some of the shocking things?
Yeah, the main findings in the report was that the anti-Semitic wave, the global anti-Semitic wave, an incidence occurred right after October 7th occurred, between October 2023 and December 2023, and then slowly declined throughout 2024. That said, levels of anti-Semitism remained higher in 2024 than before October 7th.
Can you tell us where anti-Semitism is on the rise?
The two countries that presented the most alarming findings in the report were Australia and Italy. Australia recorded a threefold increase in the number of incidents from 2022 to 2024. This was particularly shocking given Australia's reputation as a welcoming country of moderation, so that really stood out to us. And then also in Italy, we saw a rise in the number of incidents, particularly associated with the war in Gaza.
And what about the United States? How are they faring?
In the United States and also in Canada, we saw moderate increases in the levels of anti-Semitism, not big spikes as far as the total number of incidents between 2023 and 2024. But as I said, Canada, the United States, and other countries, the levels that we saw in 2024 remain higher than before 2023.
And how are security forces, police, how are they dealing with this? Are they dealing with this appropriately?
Well, law enforcement has a lot of challenges. They face a lot of challenges when dealing with hate crimes in general. And what we've found in our study is that the number of complaints don't always lead to arrests. There's a negligible amount of complaints actually lead to arrests, and then fewer lead to prosecutions and indictments. We found in cities like Toronto, New York, and also in London. What can be done about it is, first, there needs to be more dedicated enforcement of laws that exist on the books, and then the role of education. Officers and law enforcement need to know what to identify, what constitutes anti-Semitism. And the more that we see a lot of anti-Israel activism that blends in with anti-Semitism or becomes anti-Semitic, it becomes more difficult for police and law enforcement to identify.
So what is behind this? What do you think is behind all this rise, up, down of the anti-Semitism? I mean, it's still very high.
Well, just like we saw in the immediate aftermath of October 7th, we saw also in May of 2021, we see it during COVID. Whenever there's a global crisis or there's a crisis in Israel, we usually see an associated spike. However, the intensity that we saw right after October 7th was unmatched in previous decades in history.
What do you think, what could be done to obliterate this, to stop this? Is it on the education level with children? Where is it coming from?
Education needs to be at the forefront, to continue to educate people, to raise awareness of the dangers of anti-Semitism, to raise awareness that hatred against Jews doesn't stop with Jews. It trickles down and expands to other minorities. If Jews are threatened, then other minorities are also threatened, religious or ethnic. And we see that this is a challenge to the very fabric of democracies. Where this occurs, the level of democracy or the strength of democracy is weakened, because if one group can't practice their faith and live freely, then another cannot either.